Hi, I'm Jim Huling, and I want to welcome you to this episode of Execution Insights. There comes a moment in every leader's life when the storm hits. And I don't mean a metaphorical storm, I mean a real high stakes moment. There's one in the life of every leader. And usually it's one where the pressure rises and all the mistakes come out into the light, and everyone's watching you and me to see what we will do next. And that's the moment when leadership shows itself. Because in those moments, I want to tell you the easiest instinct is just to pull back, to protect yourself, to wait for someone else to face the actual fallout. But real leaders don't retreat, they step into the storm. Now, I learned this most vividly during one of my seasons as a CEO. I actually got a late night phone call one night from our finance team. And they'd been there late because they discovered an error, a significant one, in the financial reports that had already been published weeks before. And I want to tell you, it wasn't just the embarrassing kind of problem. This one carried financial penalties and reputational risk, and biggest of all, probably the anger of both board members and investors. It was bad and it was serious. And I'll never forget in that moment the subtle, maybe well-meaning advice that a member of the board offered me privately. He said, Jim, you should probably distance yourself from this and just let the board know that you're surprised and disappointed just like we are, but make it clear that this wasn't your fault. Now, in that moment, I'm not proud to say that it was tempting. It was tempting to take that advice because frankly, part of me wanted to hide. Part of me wanted to protect my reputation, to even maybe let someone else take the fall. And I think every leader who's honest will say that at some point we face that same temptation, the pull to protect ourselves instead of stepping into a very hard place. Now, today, many years later, I'm so glad to be able to tell you that I didn't choose that path because if I had, I would have carried a weight of regret too heavy to bear for all these years. But instead, thankfully, I gathered the finance team together the next morning and I told them that we would face it together, that we would own it, that we would fix it, and that little by little, over time, we would rebuild trust. Now, I'm not sharing this story to try to highlight, what a brilliant success story it all turned out to be. In fact, there were plenty of stumbles along the way. I'm sharing it because it taught me something I'll never forget, and it's something I want to offer to you. It's possible to say and do all the right things while utterly failing to lead. You see, leadership calls us to step into the storm, to be a visible, steady presence, even if everyone else is busy running for cover. And when we step forward instead of stepping back, we become the calm in the chaos. Our very presence tells the team we're going to face this together. And that's when trust and courage and growth all start to take root. So when your storm comes, and I'm sorry to say it always seems to come somewhere along the way, here's what I urge you to do. First, be visible. When things go wrong, people don't need statements or emails or press conferences. They need to see your face. So show up in the room and be on the call and stand there with the front line because your presence says we're in this together. Visibility, it isn't about control, it's about connection. And I promise you this, the moment your team sees you standing there, their anxiety begins to settle and they start to believe again. Next, be calm. Storms always feed on fear, and fear spreads fastest through silence or a leader who loses their composure. Now, to be clear, calm doesn't mean pretending everything's fine, not at all. It means acknowledging reality while still modeling confidence that you'll get through it. Because when you and I stay steady, our teams find their footing. In a very real sense, they borrow our peace until they rediscover their own. And also, be committed. Don't step in halfway and then disappear once the first wave passes. No. Stay visible until the storm subsides and the path forward is clear. At the end of the day, it's our willingness to remain in the hard place, not just to fix the problem, but to restore trust. That's what really defines us as a leader. Now, I hope you never face a moment like this, but if you do, remember, leaders don't wait for the storm to end. We step into it with courage and visibility and heart, and we become the face of the solution. And when we do that, we say to our team, you will never face a challenge where I will not be present with you. And together, we can get through anything. I'm Jim Huling. This is Execution Insights. I hope to see you on the next episode.